WRQ Valdosta. Online at myrock108.com.
Via your personal computer.
You know what that's called when they do that in there? It's called a soup kitchen.
This is Rock 108.
Soup kitchen.
It's Monday night. Let's talk. You're listening to the David Dean Coaches Show on Rock 108. Rock 108.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the David Dean Coaches Show live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you to all of our sponsors, including Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girardin Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Print Co. Also, special thanks to Solstice Lab Partners, formerly Doctor's Laboratory in Valdosta, for sponsoring the VSU Blazing Brigade Pep Band tonight. Now let's take it over to the main dais with David Dean and David Schmidt.
All right, Coach. First home game of the season, a big crowd, 6,000 people there. It was a grind 'em up, and it was a battle. I mean, it really was a battle, and I think it was a well-fought game. And you guys responded when the chips were down and really came through with a 24-17 win, interception at the end of the game to seal it. You had to be kind of proud of how they responded on both sides of the ball to the challenges that they faced.
Yeah, I really was. I don't think we played very well on any of the phases, special teams, offense, defense, any of them. But we did play well at times. And like you said, when we needed to make plays, our guys were able to step up and make the plays that they needed to make. I really felt like we probably made that game a lot closer than it should have been. We had a lot of poor execution. Offensively with penalties and just, a lack of concentration on some things. Defensively, we did the same thing. We gave up way too many third down conversions. We missed too many tackles. We had poor punts. We missed a field goal. It's just a combination of a lot of things that took place on that day. But like I told the guys, I said, I can look at you and tell you're disappointed in the way you played, but still be excited because you won. You played poorly, but you're good enough now. You can see that how good you can really be if you play. You didn't play very well, but you were able to win against a good football team who was coming down here ready to challenge you and take you on.
I know you're not about excuses, but this, the circumstances around this game were, such that you could see where the team might have come in a little bit flat. Thursday night, you mentioned the other day that Thursday night games are just hard to get ready for and get used to because it throws everything out of rhythm. Even this early in the season, you had Newberry coming off a big upset at home. They were mad, they were angry, they were trying to make a point. So I guess your players could have seen that too, as well. Maybe they're not as good as they've been in the past, and you get all those things together. But again, like you said, they responded. They stepped up. They overcame injuries. They overcame big plays. They created big plays when they need to. And when all is said and done, you have a 24-17 win. And so far this year, the Fieldhouse is a combined, 6-0 with the 4-0 soccer and the 2-0 football team.
Exactly. That's I hadn't thought about that, but that's true. But, the thing about the Thursday night games is that whenever you play a game, there's always another team on the other side of the field that's got to prepare in the same amount of time that you are. But the thing about that is we were both coming off long trips. I think they had a little bit more to prove in the game than we did, and it showed. I think our guys really got caught up in a lot of hype about them not being as good as they were last year, and we beat them handily the year before, and they've lost. We beat a great team, a top 15 team, and I think our kids kind of started to believe that, and for us, we can't do that. We're not good enough to read the headlines and read what's in the paper and hear what everybody talks about. We got to go out and prove ourselves every single week. You look on our squad, we have 12 seniors on our entire football team. So we're a fairly young football team. Most of the players that we had playing in that game are juniors and sophomores. And we're just not experienced enough to be able to go out and roll our helmets out there. We're not good enough to do that. And unfortunately, we can't listen to a lot of things like that. We've got to go out and we've got to prove ourselves every single week.
And again, the way the game started out, it was like a heavyweight fight. You had two teams that seemed like they were measuring each other. You guys were able to capitalize on a couple of big special teams play. Well, one special team play, one fumble recovery. But then in the fourth quarter, boy, it just turned into a pound for pound, fist for fist exchange of punches. And when all was said and done, Daniel Anderson was able to come through with a big field goal, and the defense was able to stop him again inside the red zone.
Exactly. And like I said, that's where when our backs were against the wall, that's when we started to play offensively. That's where we started to play defensively. We did the same thing with Wingate the week before on defense. We let them have their yards, and when we got down in the red zone, we shut them down. That's what we did with Newberry. And offensively, we didn't play as well as we did with in the Wingate game. But when the chips were down and we had to make drives, we did it. What killed us offensively was penalties. Mm-hmm. I think back to the first series of the game, we got a first down. We run the ball, then we throw a pass, and we're third down and 3, and one of the player who caught the pass gets up and he didn't spike the ball, he just kind of threw the ball down. Well, they deemed that was a penalty, and they threw a flag, and now all of a sudden you're going from 3rd and 3 to 3rd and 18, and you're not going to be very successful doing that. And that's kind of the way it was the whole night. We would have a holding penalty or a legal procedure penalty or something like that, and we just kept backing up. And it became very frustrating for us. We were in 3rd and long so many times, and because of that, we put our defense out on the field, and they took a lot of snaps. But it's like I said in the luncheon today, our booster luncheon. A lot of that's on the defense too. They've got to get off the field. They had several third down conversions, but then you couple that with the fact that we had a fumble return for a touchdown and a punt return for a touchdown. And the last time I checked, they don't let you go back out on offense after that, so your defense has got to go back out there. So yes, they're out there a lot, but we're creating scores that way. And when we do that, it puts our defense in a difficult situation. But it's a combination. We've got to play better offensively, hold the ball a little bit more, but then also we got to do better on our third down conversions.
And that was it. You mentioned the time of possession. Newberry was plus 6 minutes for the first half, which is huge. But at the same time, you got 14 points out of the deal, and you never trailed in the first half. So, right. I mean, again, you're exchanging one for the other, but that put the defense out there. It was nice weather, but it was still, when you get on that field, it gets a little bit warmer, and it's still early in the season. So, you have all those other issues. So when you're running around that much, and again, you're doing it with 14 points in your pocket, so it's not
right.
like you were fighting from behind. Why would you risk, a 3rd down and 12, a play that would be risky at that point? It's all about kind of keeping field position. And
sure. Well, the thing was, if you go back and you look at our starting possession, each time in the first half, we started inside of our 20 or inside of our 10 almost every single time, if I can remember correctly. Well, then you get in those 3rd and long situations. You got a great punter. Go ahead and let him kick and hopefully change the field position and trust your special teams to make a big play. And that's what we did. We didn't want to turn the ball over and give them an opportunity to score down in there. Now, if it had been 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 1, it's a little bit different story. Right. But when you're looking at 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13, that's when things become a little bit more conservative, and you don't want to make the mistakes that you need to make that take you out of the football game.
And again, the play calling, and I would think all the decision making, not even the down and distance, but the fact that you had the 14 points definitely comes into play as far as those risks and challenges.
Yeah, sometimes they do. Early in the ball game, the score really doesn't matter as much because you play everything as a tie game, 0-0, and your thinking and your mentality is 0-0. As the game gets latter part of the game, you start thinking more about clock management, in field position and different things like that. But early on in the ball game, you play it as a 0-0, and you're a little bit more aggressive if the field position and the down and distance and all that will allow you to do.
And again, your defense was definitely the definition of bend, don't break. it has to be interesting to evaluate the tape of that game because the passing game, they gave up a lot of big plays, or it averaged out to be a lot of big plays and a lot of big third down. But the running game, they kind of pretty much did a good job of holding them. I think they only had just barely over 3 yards of rush. So you had the strong front, and then you had the backfield that, again, maybe not executing every play, but boy, did they step up when their backs were literally against the wall because the field was shorter.
Exactly, and that's the whole issue with defense. When you get down in the red zone, down in there, you don't have as much field to cover. You can be a little bit more aggressive. You can go after the quarterback a little bit more. You can pressure up the receivers and kind of load the box up a little bit more. So, your whole philosophy and your mentality changes the closer they get to your goal line. And it's the same way offensively. You got to think a little bit differently when you get down in the red zone.
And, obviously 24-17 was the biggest numbers there. But if you look at the rest of the stats, they kind of slanted one way versus the other. But it's the final score. But I think the biggest number to come from that game, and so far, knock on wood, we've got 2 of them now, the turnover game was 5-0. And whenever you have that situation,
sure.
You took advantage of it. And, again, it allowed you to get some points, and it also kept prevented the points.
Well, unfortunately for our kids, they hear how poorly they played offensively, and they hear that from the coaches, but they hear it from the fans. They read it in the paper. They hear it in the newspaper or on the radio and different things like that. But nobody ever talks about the turnovers, and we had no turnovers, and if we turn the ball over, we lose that game. Right. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind we lose that game, but nobody talks about that, and that's frustrating for our kids because they realize – they've got a chance, and that's what I keep telling them, to quit worrying about all that other stuff. Let's just play football, stay within our families, do what we're going to do. Nobody knows what you go through every day. Nobody understands your practice schedule and the different things that we're trying to take into a football game. And, I told them right before the half we had a situation where we had 2 starting offensive linemen out of the game.
Right.
Well, we had the ball around the 35-yard line, which we could have been aggressive and tried to get in field goal range. But I told our guys, I said, look, we're not going to do that. We've got a 14-7 lead. We haven't moved the ball very well. We got 2 starters out on offense, on the offensive line. Let's take the lead into the half. We get the ball to start the second half, and let's go. And from that point, our players understand that. So they, and that's what we try to tell our kids is what's going on in the ball game, what we're thinking, and that way their mentality when they walk out on the field, they understand what the coaches are thinking.
All right, Coach, we'll take our first break. When we come back, we'll continue looking back at the big win on Thursday, and also we'll start taking a look ahead at the big game on Saturday.
Go. We'll be back with more from the David Dean Coaches Show live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you again to our title sponsors, Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girardin Jewelers, Blanton and Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Print Co. We'll be back with more from the David Dean Coaches Show live from Austin's Cattle Company on Rock 108.
There is absolutely nothing better than Friday night football in South Georgia. Don't you love it? Some of the nation's most elite players crashing helmets and blitzing the field to utterly, totally dominate their opponent is so relaxing. The sight and sound of tens of thousands of rabid fans screaming with every snap will rumble your soul. And don't even get me started on those power ballads during the halftime show. Man, it doesn't get any better. And to all of the opposing teams and their visiting fans, we love you, but you're going down. This is what we do, and this is how we roll. Tradition is here, and the future is now. It's Friday night football, folks. The trumpets are sounding, the air is thick, and victory is just 4 guaranteed action-packed quarters away. Brought to you by Southeastern Federal Credit Union, a very proud sponsor of South Georgia football.
Peaceway Counseling and Meditation Services Incorporated has diligently served Valdosta and the surrounding communities since 2006 and is now offering DUI school. Their team of licensed professional therapists is dedicated to providing a variety of services which include marital counseling, substance abuse treatment, individual and family therapy, anger management, domestic violence, and DUI classes. Peaceway counselors pride themselves on integrity, commitment, and professionalism. Call today at 333-2351 or visit peacewaycms.com. Peaceway Counseling and Meditation Services, helping to put the pieces together.
Shopaholics and people who hate shopping have one thing in common. Neither likes to shop for insurance. At Grange Insurance, we get that. That's why we recommend buying through independent agents.
Let Blanton & Griffin do the shopping for you. Blanton & Griffin will look at a variety of insurance companies and recommend only the best ones. Companies like Grange, who offer great value and exceptional claim service. Call Blanton & Griffin today at 247-6500.
Products not available in all states.
Accuracy, reliability, perfection. Exacting standards and passionate faithfulness are at the core of the legendary Tag Heuer watch collection. These standards beat strong in the hearts of every football player and die-hard fan. Champions of accuracy, champions of quality. Tag Heuer's and Girard & Jewelers' winning team can't be beat. Girard & Jewelers, our area's exclusive dealer of Tag Heuer timepieces, proudly supports Coach David Dean and the Valdosta State Blazers. See the rebirth of an icon, the Tag Heuer Link Series, exclusively available at Girard & Jewelers.
It's a world of endless meetings, a place where the copier's always jamming and cubicle dwellers always dream of better digs. Yeah, this is the typical American office, and come 5 o'clock, this is America's beer, Budweiser. It's brewed with the finest natural ingredients for the perfect combination of flavor and refreshment.
Budweiser, the great American style lager.
Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri. Please drink responsibly.
Hey, what do you have? Ah, it's the what'll you have moment. You want a light beer, right? But you also want real beer taste. Michelob Ultra. Smooth, refreshing, perfect taste. 95 calories and 2.6 grams of carbs. That's the smart choice. So what will you have?
Yeah, a round of Michelob Ultra. Mich Ultra, you got it.
Live life to the ultra. Please drink responsibly. 2009 Anheuser-Busch Incorporated Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri. 95 calories, 2.6 grams carbs, 0.6 grams protein, and 0 grams fat per 12 ounces.
It's Blazer Football Talk.
55 Texas, Z-Hook on one.
On the exclusive home of the David Dean Coaches Show, Rock 108.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the David Dean Coaches Show, live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you again to all of our sponsors: Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girard & Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Print Co. Now let's go back to head coach David Dean and David Schmidt.
Coach, you mentioned some injuries that were sustained during that game, and that's always an unfortunate situation, especially for these young guys that have worked so hard. One of the big ones, and I'm sure and they're all big, but you had Jake Thomas go out, who was the starting center, and everybody knows that when it comes to the offensive line, the center is the quarterback of that, and they're making the reads, they're making the calls, and plus for those of you that don't know, Jake was also an academic All-American, so you had someone in there that's experienced, that really has a good insight and understands what's going on, and to lose him. First of all, you can explain again how that affects the game. Plus, you have now a new center in there snapping the ball, and then tell us a little bit about what his future is as far as the injury.
Well, your center is the guy that makes all of your calls for you, and he gets everything set. He sets the defense, and everybody does what the center says. He makes a call of the front call, and everybody agrees to what he does, no matter if he calls it right or wrong. So everything is based off what that center does. And when you lose Jake Thomas, you're basically losing a 2-year starter. He was a part-time starter as a true freshman. He started every game for us last year at center. and then, of course, the first 2 games this year. So that was a big loss for us. I went out there to him to make sure he was okay when the doctors were out there, and he had played another snap in the game, and he didn't want to come out, but after he planted, he realized that his ankle was pretty bad, and then, of course, we had to help him off the field. He went in for x-rays on Friday. We got great news. It was not broken. It was just a high ankle sprain. So we're looking, with aggressive rehab, probably 3, maybe 4 weeks. So hopefully sometime in the middle part of October or so, we should be able to get him back and with us. Unfortunately, our other situation that we got is our backup center, Kevin Jackson, who is a redshirt freshman, has now a broken finger and tore ligaments in his finger, and he's having surgery tomorrow. So we're up in the air about whether he's going to be back for the rest of the season or not. So we lost our starting center and our backup center all in one game. So that's a little bit scary going into this one.
And that's a lot of adjustments to make on so many different levels. The first turnover, or the turnover that led to the first touchdown, Matt Pierce's 49-yard fumble, what was your perspective on the play? How much of that did you get to see?
I saw pretty much all of it. I saw them line up. We all knew that they were going to run the sneak. And it was
a fourth down play.
Yeah, our defense has a thing they call a sneak package, and they all squeeze in there. And when the ball was snapped and the quarterback immediately snapped his head backwards, I knew that the ball was on the ground. I couldn't see it. And then it squirted away. And, boy, kudos to Matt Pierce. That's a play that a corner can take off. He's not really involved in making the tackle, but his job is to knife off the edge in case the quarterback bounces, or if the ball comes loose, he's got a chance to recover the fumble. And that's exactly what he did. He saw it squirt loose. He picks it up, and he runs into the end zone for a touchdown. So very easy for him to take that play off. He didn't do it, and great job. He did what he was asked to do. Great team player, and because of that, he ends up getting a touchdown.
And the reason I asked how much you saw of it, because I don't think I've ever seen a play like that looked so much like a rugby scrum.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, it was the ball just everybody went together. The ball squirted out the back.
Yeah.
Their running back ran right past it. He tried to turn to go back for it, and he slipped. And then Matt just was, like I say, he was the last man in. He was the furthest man deep, and he just was like, oh my God, and just was able to take off.
It's funny if you look at it on film. There's about 4 black shirts back there that pick it up, and there's 3 of them that are escorting him down the field. And all the other white shirts are all kind of looking around like, what happened? Where'd the ball go?
Yeah, that was a funny again to see that one and to see it again on film. And interesting enough, in the first half, their fourth down was your biggest play. You had the fumble recovery, and then how much can you say about Quinn Robertson, who has just really stepped up these 2 games, and here he gets a chance to return the kick. He looked to me, and again, my expert opinion is about as deep as a puddle after it rains, but he looked like he had one of the most natural abilities to run up on a punt and catch on the run like an outfielder would as they're kind of getting ready to throw home.
Exactly.
That he's actually already kind of in his first step by the time he's bringing the ball in, which kind of changes the timing for the for the defense coming at him. And he just hit and he was gone before you knew it.
Well, if you've never been back for a punt to field a punt, it's scary because you're looking straight up in the air for a ball and everybody's running at you, and you don't know if your guys have made the block or if a guy's running free. So it's scary enough as it is. But then for him to go in a full dead sprint and catch the ball on the run and break that, that was just a phenomenal play when you sit back and you look at it. Now, he had great blocking. We had 10 other guys that did an outstanding job of blocking. He had to make the punter miss, and he did. He put a great move on him and ran that thing in the end zone. So we had 11 guys do their job on that. But, when he was going out, it was funny. When he was lining up, we were struggling so bad to get good field position, and they kept kicking the ball, but they would kick it short, and then they would get great rolls out of it. So I actually moved him up 5 yards, and I told him, I said, get us good field position. And when he did, boy, he took off and ran down the field. And I saw him on the sideline afterwards, and I said, man, that's a great play. what you did, could have turned this game around and all that kind of stuff. And I said, I was planning on you getting field position, but not that good. And he said, I just can't believe somebody almost caught me. That's what he was more concerned with than anything else, was somebody catching him.
I guess the only thing you could equate it to me, the only way you could prepare to do it the way he did would be running out blindly into traffic, chasing your ball that went into the street. That's about what the experience is.
That's exactly right. Not knowing if anybody's going to put on the brakes or if somebody's in the correct lane that you're in. That's a scary situation. And for him to go up and make that play like he did, like I said, that was just a phenomenal play. And of course, as it turns out, it's the difference in the ball game.
And I noticed the warm-ups. I mean, that's his style. He wasn't just being helter-skelter, He has the ability to time it and get to the spot, and you just hope that he holds on to it. But, again, to hit that with that step instead of standing flat-footed, which, again, there's nothing wrong with that because of the danger, but just to be able to make that change the timing.
We're very, very fortunate to have him as a part of our football team. He's a difference maker. He's very smart. He understands the game. Of course, he played at Colquitt County High School for Rush Probst, and, Rush Probst is a great football coach, and that whole staff that they have over there does an outstanding job, and they've taught him a lot about the game of football, and it's carried over to here. So he's one of those guys that's easy to coach. He's got a lot of natural ability and a lot of football savvy about him.
And anything good to say about Ryan Smith? Did he have a decent
Yeah, he had, I think he had 11 tackles, 9 were solo, 2 interceptions, a pass breakup, almost had a third interception that would have gone for a touchdown. But the most important thing is he was the named Gulf South Conference Defensive Player of the Week. So second straight week we've got a special or a Player of the Week.
Yeah, we had Austin last week on offense. You have Ryan this week on defense, and he also had 2 tackles for loss too. So you spit it out, but even 2 tackles for loss. So I mean, what a huge game, and the interceptions that he made. I mean, it's one thing to say he made these interceptions, but he intercepted 1 at the 9 and 1 at the 16.
Sure.
So again, he was the guy that was the gatekeeper back there, and he wasn't letting anybody. He was like the troll at the bridge, and he was not going to let anybody pass.
That's exactly right. He played a great game, and of all the guys that we had in that game that I say came to play, and we didn't have very many, he was one of them. And I can name probably about 6 or 7 guys that showed up and played a great football game. He was one of those guys.
Now, another situation that I thought was indicative of the fight that your team had and their ability to kind of bounce off and be resilient. You can look at the stat sheet all you want, but it's how people respond. And right after they tied it, right after they made it 14-14, I mean, that's when you guys went on your offense touchdown drive. I mean, they just said, you know what, we've had enough of this.
Yeah.
And they were able to really concentrate. They had big plays on that drive, obviously getting Roberson for a long touchdown. But just, again, it has to be a good thing from a coaching perspective. Like you said, they played that poorly kind of as it averages out, but the fact that they responded so positively and so focused instead of maybe caving under the pressure or maybe feeling that pressure and maybe see the first turnover for the season.
And have done that for the second straight week. When we went down 14-0 to Wingate, that's when they did it. When Newberry tied us up 14-14, that's when they did it. And I think it was a 5 or 6 play drive, and we had what you call pluses or minuses. We had 11 pluses on every single play in that drive. That means everybody did their job to absolute perfection. And when we do that, we can execute and we can be successful. And that's exactly what we did. We put together a great drive, and I told our guys, I said, I'm tired of you guys playing when your backs are against the wall. If we have to, we'll put our backs against the wall all the time if that makes you play. But we can't do that. We've got to go out and we've got to play every series like it's the most important series of the game.
So, again, it's another situation where you're good to see them respond that way, but it's certainly not the environment that you're coaching for. Just to give the details on that was a five-play, 70-yard drive. So all of your offensive drives have been 70 yards or more.
Right.
So they're able to piece it together. It's just a matter of building up that consistency.
That's exactly right. And it's just a matter of execution, focus, concentration, and that's just some things that we didn't have in that ball game, and it's exemplified by the number of penalties, the number of drops, the number of overthrows, the missed assignments on blocks in the run game that we had. All of those things all add up to a poor performance offensively. But again, I say poor for performance. We did what we had to do to win the ball game. And a lot of times you're not going to get a lot of yards in the ball game, but if you can put together drives like you need to, you're going to be able to win the ball game. And, you got to rely on your offense you rely on your defense and your special teams to make plays, and that's exactly what happened. What people don't realize is we've had 45 or 46 more plays the other team has run over us the entire year so far. And, a lot of that's got to do with the fact that, we're not converting on third downs and we're not getting the drives that we need to do at the proper times. Of course, having 9 plays in the first game in the first quarter that hurts you.
Hey, you don't want to do that again either. One kind of personal note for Blazer fans or people that have followed the Blazers before we go and take our second break. I don't think he's listening, but I want to say goodbye. It was Adam McDonald's last game that he covered. He's left the Valdosta Daily Times and is heading up to work in Atlanta, so good luck to him. But here he was. He planned it so that he actually started today, but his last assignment, he was going to be there for that last Valdosta State game.
Right. Well, Adam did a great job. He was a big Blazer fan and did a great job of covering not only football but Valdosta State athletics. And, he's a good friend of mine. We're really going to miss him. We wish him well. He said he's coming back. He'll be in Albany this Saturday for our ball game, so we'll actually be able to see him in the pregame down there. But we wish him the best. We're going to miss him, but I know Ed Hooper, who's taking his spot, is going to do a good job.
And Adam said for the first time in a long time he can actually be a fan.
That's right.
He didn't have to worry about being impartial or looking at different angles. He can just come and cheer and be a fan.
Well, I'll tell you another group that I want to brag on a little bit, and I should have done this last week and I didn't do it, is that group that's around the corner over there, our pep band. They went to Wingate, and I'm telling you, they kept our fans in the ball game up at Wingate. And then, of course, Thursday night when we had our game, what a great job they did they have a great knack of knowing when to play. and that really makes a difference in the ball game. And we're fixing to see that this Saturday because those guys, they just play constantly. But our band does a great job of knowing when to play when the other team has the ball, the exact time and the exact things to do. And I just don't know if there's a better band at this level in the country than our guys. We're awfully proud to be playing at Valdosta State, and we're proud to have those guys behind us. And it's a great relationship. We're proud to run between the Blazing Brigade there as we head out to the field every Saturday.
I wish there was some way I could come up with to have them follow me around because it's just so cool to have that theme music as you go about your everyday life. Well, we'll take our mid-break right here. When we come back, we'll start taking a look at the big game against Albany State this Saturday.
The David Dean Coaches Show brought to you by Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girardin Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, Georgia Print Co. We'll be back with more from the David Dean Coaches Show live from Austin's Cattle Company on Rock 108.
There is absolutely nothing better than Friday night football in South Georgia. Don't you love it? Some of the nation's most elite players crashing helmets and blitzing the field to utterly, totally dominate their opponent is so relaxing. The sight and sound of tens of thousands of rabid fans screaming with every snap will rumble your soul. And don't even get me started on those power ballads during the halftime show. Man, it doesn't get any better. And to all of the opposing teams and their visiting fans, we love you, but you're going down. This is what we do, and this is how we roll. Tradition is here, and the future is now. It's Friday night football, folks. The trumpets are sounding. The air.
Georgia head coach Mark Richt. Football season is coming soon, and your home for Georgia Game Day and Bulldog Hotline every Monday night is Valdosta's Rock Station, Rock 108.
That's right, Dog fans. Starting Saturday, September 3rd, catch all of the Bulldog action right here at Rock 108. Brought to you this season by Astro Exterminating, Wallace Truck and Equipment, First State Bank, Wells Fargo Advisors, Mike Birch Ford, Tatum Insurance, Griner Nissan, Girardin Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin, Heritage Bank of the South, Georgia Farm Bureau, and Herndon Company Real Estate.
It's a world of endless meetings, a place where the copier's always jamming and cubicle dwellers always dream of better digs. Yeah, this is the typical American office, and come 5 o'clock, this is America's beer, Budweiser. It's brewed with the finest natural ingredients for the perfect combination of flavor and refreshment.
Budweiser, the great American style lager.
Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri. Please drink responsibly.
Hey, what do you have?
Ah, it's the what'll you have moment. You want a light beer, right? But you also want real beer taste. Michelob Ultra. Smooth, refreshing, perfect taste. 95 calories and 2.6 grams of carbs. That's the smart choice. So what will you have?
Yeah, a round of Michelob Ultra. Mich Ultra, you got it.
Live life to the ultra. Please drink responsibly. 2009 Anheuser-Busch Incorporated Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri. 95 calories, 2.6 grams carbs, 0.6 grams protein, and 0 grams fat per 12 ounces.
Smitty's Package Store is ready for Blazer football. Smitty's was voted the #1 liquor store in South Georgia, and they have everything that you need for the weekend, including ice-cold beer, wine, and liquor. Plus, you can pick up a cooler, a bag of ice, a nice cigar, and even the lime for your Corona. As we cheer our Blazers on, don't forget to be safe. Make sure that you have a designated driver and that you drink responsibly. All good times begin at Smitty's, and go Blazers.
Black Crow Media is looking for an energetic, assertive, and well-organized individual to fill an open position for account executive. Black Crow Media has 7 stations that cover a 15-county area, and for a self-motivated individual, this position has no pay ceiling. This position is Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., and does require some weekend work. Apply at 1711 Ellis Drive or email your resume to kpelkowski@blackcrow.fm. No phone calls, please. Applicants must be 21 years or older, and sales experience is required. Black Crow Media of Valdosta, LLC is an equal opportunity employer.
Blazer football talk. It's the David Dean Coaches Show on Rock 108.
Welcome back to the David Dean Coaches Show, live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you again to all of our sponsors: Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girardin Jewelers, Blanton and Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Print Co. Now let's go back to David Schmidt and head coach David Dean.
All right, Coach, the polls came out this afternoon, and I have to put on my glasses. So forget that I have to do that now. And Valdosta moved up a couple spots from number 14 to number 12. And then Albany State, who had a big game against Wingate, and they won a big game at home. They won by a score of 49-28. They are at number 6. So coming up Saturday, we have one of 3 ranked versus ranked battles in Division II.
That's right. It's going to be a big game. Obviously, they are a good football team, deserving of that ranking. They were beating Wingate, I think, 49 to 10 or something like that at one point in the ball game, and pretty much had it in hand and easily were walking away from them. And that's a little bit scary because Wingate's a very good football team. They gave us a lot of fits, and I know that Albany State is going to be up to play us. It's always been a huge rivalry, no matter what the records are, no matter when you play, whether it's at the playoffs, first game of the season, middle of the season. That's always a very tough physical football game, and I don't expect it to be any different.
Well, I'll tell you, over the summer I went up to do a training session at Albany State for a lot of the faculty or for a lot of the staff, and they were already talking about the game.
Oh, yeah.
So they want to beat Valdosta State. That's their bowl game.
Sure. I mean, and I know that for the 3rd straight week, we're going to get somebody's best. And, of course, that's what you want to do. If you want to beat them, you want to beat them at their best. We're gonna walk out on that field knowing that they probably pulled some guys back late in the ball game, rested them up, getting ready to play us. So it's going to be an interesting battle. They're a very good football team. They're playing very well. They're playing with a lot of confidence. They've won a lot of football games over the last 3 or 4 years. Several years undefeated in the regular season and only losing 1 game, and that was in the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to see how our kids perform and how they rebound from our win from Thursday night.
Now, is there any way to measure tape-wise or anything? You got the transitive property. If A beats B, and B beat C to C beat A, but means you both beat Wingate. One was on the road, one was at home. You really can't compare, but do you get any insight by having played the common opponent this early?
No, not really, because if you go back and you look at last year, Delta State beat us, we beat North Alabama, North Alabama beat Delta, and then you go to the playoffs, North Alabama beat us, and Delta beat North Alabama. So you can't ever put that. You got to tee it up. You got to go out there and play. You got to execute. It all depends on turnovers, how your kids go out and play, and execution and different things like that. And it's what makes football a great game. You don't have an opportunity to play poorly on Monday, and then in basketball you turn around and play again on Wednesday. You have to sit on it for 7 days. Well, for us, we've got to sit on it for 9 days.
Right.
And, I talk like we lost the ball game. We didn't lose the ball game. We just know we didn't play as good as we should have played. But our guys are ready to go out and play. This is a big game for our guys. They're going to be excited. It's a great atmosphere going to Albany. There's a lot of fans that are there. When your buses pull in, they get on you. You see all the tailgate people out there. And, of course, their band plays constantly all the time. And, our guys love to hear the drums. I love to hear the drums. And so it's going to be interesting to see how our guys, a lot of young guys playing in that type of atmosphere for the first time. I expect they're going to bring a lot of folks to the football game. That's going to be a big crowd over there on that home side. And, hopefully we can handle ourselves the proper way and play a good football game.
Wes, what do we have facing us this week?
Well, what we have is a Albany State team that when you compare the game with Albany State and Wingate, our game with Wingate, the stats come out almost at the end, almost even. We rushed the ball a little bit better against Wingate than what Albany State did. Albany State threw it a little bit better in that ball game against Wingate than what we did. At the end of the day, though, the stats are just pretty much even across the board, irregardless of what the score was in the beginning or that 20-0 halftime score. Coach, what we'd like to know a little bit is there's 2 transfers Albany State has had come in. Number 80, Michael Nelson, and number 15, Ronnie Tubbs. Tubbs was their leading receiver last Saturday, 6 catches for 136 yards. And there's very little information out there on the web on these 2 guys. Of course, we know Stan Jennings, their quarterback from last year, 6'2", 235-pound junior, 17 of 30 for 307 yards against Wingate. What do we do with our defensive backs to stop that? And what can you tell us about number 80 and number 15?
Well, they're both very good players, and I think what's making them go right now is Stanley Jennings. He's playing great football. He's making good decisions. He's throwing the ball very well. Obviously, if you throw for 300 yards, you're doing something right. But those guys have great speed. They're able to get open, and the thing about them is when they get into open field, they can make a lot of things happen. But for us, yes, it's our defensive backs, but it's more so our front four. We've got to put pressure on the quarterback. We got to force him to throw the ball a lot of times, many times before he's ready to throw it, force him to move around in the pocket, not just let him sit back there and survey the field. We've got to have a better pass rush than we had against Wingate and a better pass rush than we had against Newberry. And, so somehow or another we've got to put together a better rush series against those guys and force him to make decisions. And that's one thing that he has been able to do. He's got such a big, good offensive line back there. He just sits back there and surveys the field and reads and just lets his receivers go to work and lets those athletes make plays.
235 pounds. That's even when you hit him, you're not necessarily knocking him down.
No. He's actually small for Albany State. 235 pounds. They're 3. They have 4 defensive linemen. 3 of their defensive linemen. This is no joke. They're 350, 305, and 330. And then their other defensive end's a small guy. He's 285. So he's probably the first one in the buffet line, I hope, because he's not going to get anything. And then their offensive line, they're all 350, 360, 340. I mean, you're looking at an NFL size team when you walk out there on the field. Their safeties are 6'2" and 6'3". Their corners are 6'1". I mean, they're a big, good-looking football team. And they've done a good job of recruiting. They recruit big guys and develop their speed. And, Coach White's done an outstanding job up there with that program.
Can you remember a tougher start of the season that you've had as far as competition in the last several years?
No, I haven't. But, it's been good. It's good for us. It gets us off to kind of a measuring stick to find out what we're about. I would rather be in these type games early because you grow, you learn. We've had 2 close ball games, so I feel like if we get into another close ball game, we've got an advantage because we know how to handle ourselves. We've been in those situations where our back's against the wall, and I kind of know how we respond. So that's been good for us. I would rather do that than have the big blowouts over and over and over. And I know the fans and parents and all that, they all love to see the big 50-12s and all that kind of stuff. But, for us, all we care about is a W. We want to win. We want to come off the field knowing that we're going to 3-0. So if we win 10-7, I'm going to be just as happy as if we win 50-49. It doesn't matter as long as we got more points at the end of the day.
All right, Coach, we'll take our final break. When we come back, we'll wrap it up as we head to Albany State.
We'll be back with more from the David Dean Coaches Show live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you again to our title sponsor, Southeastern Federal Credit Union. Also, thank you to Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girard & Jewelers, Blanton and Griffin, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Print Co. We'll be back with more live from Austin's Cattle Company on Rock 108.
Hey, this is head football coach David Dean of your VSU Blazers. Join us Monday night at Austin's Cattle Company for the David Dean Coaches Show live from 7 to 8 p.m. We will break down the previous week's game and get you ready for the upcoming game with my coaching staff and David Schmidt. For more information on sponsoring the show, please call your local Black Crow Media Sales representative at 244-8642. We look forward to seeing you at Austin's Cattle Company starting August the 29th.
The 2011 David Dean Coaches Show is brought to you by Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, Griner Nissan, Girard & Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, KFC, and Budweiser. Valdosta Lighting Center, located at 418 Northside Drive, has been serving homeowners and businesses in Valdosta and the surrounding areas since 1974. They have a 14,000 square foot facility and offer the finest lighting with over 200 residential, commercial, and industrial lines to choose from. Valdosta Lighting Center's staff has over 125 years combined experience. They offer scheduled in-house or on-site consultations as well as after-hours appointments for your convenience. Call Valdosta Lighting Center at 247-1526 or visit them online at ValdostaLighting.com.
Georgia Prinko would like to wish the 2011-2012 Valdosta State University Blazers a great season. Georgia Prinko is locally owned and operated and is a leader in the grand format printing industry. Georgia Prinko has served our community for 10 years, and they understand the importance of community support. Georgia Prinko takes pride in their winning business practices, and they look forward to a winning season for the VSU Blazers. Georgia Prinko is a worldwide wholesaler of sign and pop products. Call 229-482-3411 for your next signage project.
A nugget, by definition, is a lump, a chunk, a blob. We're KFC, and our cooks don't make blobs.
We certainly don't.
We believe bite-sized pieces of chicken shouldn't be pressed or formed like most nuggets are. So we use 100% off-the-bone premium breast meat. Every piece is a piece of the world's best chicken.
It's the only kind we know how to make.
Now you can try a large order of popcorn chicken for just $2.99. Today is a KFC day. Today tastes so good.
Limited time offer at participating KFC restaurants. Prices may vary. Tax extra.
Experience the difference of Griner Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty. For over 50 years, customers in South Georgia and North Florida have relied on Griner for their automotive needs. Griner continues to offer the best possible prices and service that keeps you coming back. After all, relationships are what the difference is all about. Visit Griner Nissan on Inner Perimeter Road in Valdosta and online at GrinerNissan.com. Griner Nissan, a proud sponsor of the VSU Blazers and the David Dean Coaches Show.
You're listening to the David Dean Coaches Show.
103, 1, 2, 3.
On Rock 108.
Welcome back to the David Dean Coaches Show live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you again to our title sponsors, Southeastern Federal Credit Union. Thank you also to Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girard & Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Print Co. Let's go back one more time with head coach David Dean and David Schmidt.
All right, Coach. I mean, it's a road game, and it's going to be a very tough opponent, but you have to like the fact that you're not traveling halfway across the country to jump off a bus, to tackle a bunch of guys, jump on a bus, and drive back.
No kidding. We're scheduled to play Lambeth this week, and, that was about a 10-hour bus ride up there to play, and we traded it to go an hour and 15 minutes to Albany State and play. The opponents, I'd like to play Lambeth an hour and 15 minutes away. That'd be a little bit better for us, but we're happy to have Albany State back on the schedule. It's a huge rivalry. It's one of those that if fans want to come to the game, it's close enough that they can come. It's a great atmosphere to play in. They got a great stadium. And our kids know a lot of their kids, and they've played against them. They played with them. So it's one of those in-state rivalry games that's just a lot of fun to be a part of.
And I know you don't know a lot of the details because you're busy taking care of getting ready, but tickets are on sale in the ticket office, I think $20. I was asked if they were general admission. I'm not positive, but I'm almost sure that is a general admission seating. They are going to get a bus together to take people there if you want to ride the bus instead of having to pay for the gas and the parking. Albany State does charge for parking on campus. It's $5, so be ready for that if you're going to take your own vehicle. But it's a great chance for everybody to kind of get another game in without really having to fork out too much.
Yeah, it is. $20, that's pretty steep, but
and $5 for parking.
Well, they are number 6 in the country
That's
now,
right.
so you get to see a top 10 team in Division II, and it's a number 6 against number 12, but I don't know. It's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know a whole bunch about it. I know that if I was doing it and I was a fan, I'd get on the bus and I'd ride up there so I wouldn't have to pay an extra $5 for parking. There's no need to pay them some extra money that they don't need. And
don't buy anything at the concession stand
either. Just hop on the bus and give us $5. We could use $5 for a meal or so for some of our kids.
All right. Now, how do things work in Division II or NCAA as far as that goes, as far as scouting? You guys played Thursday. Very easy for them to send someone up from Albany to sit in the stands and watch the game. I'm sure, they couldn't stop someone from paying to do so.
Right.
And the same thing on Saturday, you guys could have very easily went up to the ticket booth, paid for tickets, sat in the stands. A, what are the restrictions on that? And are there any kind of restrictions on advanced scouting? And B, what would be the value in that to just sit in the stands and watch a game?
Well, there's no restrictions on it. You can go and you can watch a game if you want to do that. But the value of it is you get to see the flow of the game. You get to watch them on the sideline, how they're reacting. You get to see their substitution packages going in, how quickly they're doing it. You get to see the tempo that they're playing in. Those are probably the main things that you pick up from going to a game like that. But you can't. You can watch and see some of the things that they're doing, and kind of have an idea. But until you really get in there and study it and find out exactly, because there's so many different things that are going on. If you ever sit there and watch a film, the most friendly thing that a coach has is the reverse button. And
right.
If you in there watch film with a coach, you'll go nuts because you'll take 2 steps and rewind it back, 2 steps, rewind it back, 2 steps, and rewind it back, and it gets people that go in there and watch that go, what in the world are you looking at? Well, there's 11 different guys that you got to watch going in different directions. And people always ask all the time, what in the world do y'all do that late? How come y'all work till midnight and 11 o'clock? Well, there's a lot of film that you watch, and there's a lot that goes into preparing for football games other than just walking out to practice and throwing a football out there and said, all right, here's what we're going to do, and then you leave, and it's all said and done.
Straw it up in the dirt. Film swap, did I hear this afternoon that was something kind of in debate there?
Yeah, I guess I didn't understand this, but I thought we were going to trade films with them. That tells me that they were here on Thursday night. They came down and watched our game if they didn't want to trade films. Either that or they taped it off TV. And but they refused to change the last game with us, so they won't have our Newberry film unless they copied it off the TV copy, which I'm sure they did. and we will not receive the Wingate copy. So we don't know what they did versus Wingate. We won't have any idea of that. And that's the second straight week that we've been put under that situation. This new video system that they have in the NCAA, people are able to do that now. You can block people from getting on to your games, and it's become so high tech in what they do. It's a lot easier to hide your films now, and that's what people are doing to us, is they're not exchanging those films because they're not bound by conference rules of having to trade the entire season of games.
So what's the old thing? Instead of badges, we don't need no stinking badges.
That's right.
Videotape, we don't need no stinking videotape.
We're gonna have to wing it and go on what they did in the first ball game, which was Savannah State. And so that's what's kind of crazy is they agreed to switch that, but I think they more or less had to because they got Wingate, so we get the Savannah State game, but they knew that they were probably going to come down and watch us play Thursday night, and they probably took a lot of notes and saw a lot of things, and hopefully they went back really, really overconfident after that exhibition that we put on Thursday night.
All right, Coach, one last thing. We talk about our favorite NFL player, Larry Dean, actually played the game yesterday, was on the field during the opening kickoff, was there helping Percy Harvin score a touchdown on the very first play. So his NFL career started on the field with a touchdown. He got in, had a couple tackles, so he's officially in the book as an NFL player.
That's right.
Did you hear anything? Or
No, I did not. I have not heard from him since the game ended. I did hear from him. I was watching some college football games at home on Saturday, and I got a text message from him, and it said that we just landed here in San Diego. Tell all the guys and coaches congratulations on the win, stay undefeated, so forth and so on. And then he said his special team coach told him on the trip, said last year you opened up with Wingate, this year you open up in San Diego. There's a little bit of a difference.
And there was a few more people at the stadium in San Diego than I think we've ever had at Bazemore Heights. Or maybe during a Lowndes Valdosta game if it's
right.
close.
But it's awfully proud of him. 2 tackles in his first NFL game, key blocks on a kickoff return for a touchdown. Hate they lost, but awfully proud of him. Hopefully I'll hear from him here. I try not to bother him too much, and he usually is the one that texts me because he knows that we're working and he's working and getting ready and lifting weights and all that. So we're both on a busy schedule right now, but he's done a great job of keeping in touch with us, and it's amazing, he always talks about family here. He talks about family and tell all the brothers, tell all the coaches, tell the family. I mean, it's constant, even though that guy's a Minnesota Viking right now, he still is going to bleed red and black. He's going to be a Blazer till the day he leaves this beautiful earth.
All right, Coach, big 24-17 win this week against Newberry, and we're traveling just a little bit north to Albany State on Saturday. That game starts at 7 o'clock. It was originally listed at 6, but it is 7. There are buses available. Tickets are available. Check online with Valdosta State, Blazer Athletics. Give them a call if you need to. Get involved, get in that game, and let's have a home field advantage even though we're a little bit away from home. Good luck next week, and we'll be back next Monday.
Thank you for listening to the David Dean Coaches Show live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you to our title sponsors, Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girardin Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Print Co. A podcast of this show will be available later on myrock108.com.